in their creative space. So please go ahead and share your screen, and you can take us through your journey with Gen Media.
Amazing, thank you. One second, sorry. Hi, all. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining. Thank you for the Google team for the privilege to host here and to tell our story. I'm Shai Chikotai, head of creative. I have the incredible role of being head of creative and content at eToro. I started as a copywriter and a creative professional about 20 years ago in the advertising agencies. And for the past 5 years, I've been in eToro. This means that my role always has been to tell stories and make dreams come true, and just imagine and make stuff up, which is kind of fun. But 12.5 years ago, when Gen AI started to emerge and people started getting more psyched about it, we saw the opportunity, and I took upon myself the privilege and the mission to implement AI in all eToro's marketing efforts. And to be honest, I'm very proud of what we've done in the last couple of years. For those who are not familiar with eToro is not just a trading platform. We operate in over 75 countries. This is not a pitch, by the way, just want you to have a scale. We in 75 countries, 40 million users worldwide, and operate with almost 20 languages, different languages. So now you can understand some of the marketing challenges we have when we want to produce and tell our story to potential users. We have fully functional in-house ad agency that creates our global and local campaigns with copywriters, content writers, strategy, art directors, and studio to support everything that we do, all the creative things that we do. So how do you reach all those different people at that scale? This is a great question that we ask ourselves at the beginning. Think about it this way. For decades, marketers have been constrained for time, resources, and basically asking favors from different providers in order to create anything that we do. And now with AI, we have the efficiency to create more content without breaching our budget, and also for the very ironic way, being more human. AI creates more, makes being more human for when we tell stories. A bit odd, right? I really like this slide. In a research that conducted in Boston College, they compared to the hype and thing that we hear on the news regarding AI. Only 10% of companies actually succeed in implementing it. This is really, really, really odd. If you measure American companies, it's only 6%. Maybe it's a bit higher because everything was done a couple of months ago, but it's still very, very low. I'm very proud to say that eToro is in the 1% in doing it, specifically in marketing and also in the way that we program and work on our product. And now we see ourselves as an AI first company, and this is a big change. This is something that you, as in your own companies, need to think about, how you change the mindset to be an AI first company. If I need to describe the entire subject of AI in one word, for me, it's agility. Essentially, it's being, if I need to be honest, everything that AI does, we could have done before. We've done it before. We created, like, there's no new stories that weren't told. It just was more complex. And now we can do it differently and change the way that we do it. Maybe do it cheaper, maybe do some stuff faster, maybe get into niche products that no one would ever give you the budget to even promote, but now you can because it's small. It's shorter, you need less hands in order to create it. I want to take the opportunity to go back in time, not that far, about 4 months ago, mid-March, Neil, our CMO, calls everybody, all the marketing all my team, and say, hey, listen, we've got a signed media deal, 15 countries, 15 languages. We need a new campaign for our brand. The launch date is, drum roll, 2.5 weeks. Stressful. And to be honest, even with AI, it's not easy, but suddenly it's mission possible. So if I need to talk about 2 words, it's agility and stressful. But no, I'm just kidding. It's kind of fun.
When you invest with eToro, you start seeing investors every...
Stop! No, I didn't want to do it.
When you invest with eToro, you start seeing investors...
1 second. You're gonna see it. Don't worry. Couple of weeks later, 3 weeks later, we launched this video with Veo3, and a small anecdote about this video. It was originally written for Veo2. Veo2 was the biggest name back then. We wrote the script, we worked on it, everything was perfect. We wanted to go, and then this, I think it was Monday morning or Sunday evening, Veo3 was presented to the world, and we said, hey, stop, we have to adapt. So we changed the script a bit and added 2 main features that were game changers even on that scale. It was our presenter is now talking to the camera. Instead of voiceover, now he can talk, he can have real emotion. And this is what we came up with.
When you invest with eToro, you start seeing investors everywhere.
You see, eToro really is everywhere.
Join more than 40 million people worldwide and invest anytime, anywhere with eToro.
So this was the first one. But we didn't stop there. We talked about the fact that we operate in 15 different, we want to go in the 15 different countries. So why can't we just create the same thing in those different languages? And now with Veo3, it was possible. For us, it was just fun. I'm going to show a compilation of only those parts, just so you'll understand. Some of you may speak some of those languages, like German and French and Czech. So it's going to be fun for you also.
Quando investi con eToro, inizi a vedere investitori ovunque. Lorsque vous investissez avec eToro, vous commencez à avoir des investisseurs partout. Wenn Sie bei eToro investieren, begegnen Ihnen Investoren, einfach überall. Cuando inviertes con eToro, empiezas a ver inversores por todas partes. Když investujete s eToro, začnete vídat investory všude.
So, as you can see, with that, we could tell more stories that are relevant to people in their own languages and their own language without breaching our marketing budget. And this is truly, this was fun, a fun experiment, and we are planning to expand it even more. Ooh, a lot of...
Instead of invest.
Wait, tell me the story before. But changing languages is not enough. We want to be fully local, to tell local stories. We need to tell stories with local insight. And this was also possible. So, and we do it in different countries. Not all our campaign are global. Some of them are only for Germany, only for France, only for Italy. In this, like in this case, just in Italy, just before we created the Veo3 video, we created this one with Veo2, which was only for the Italian audience. In Italy, we done our research with a local strategy agency, and we found out the young adults are driven by big milestones and short-term wins instead of thinking of the future. So basically, they dream, they will pay for their dream wedding, or buy the biggest, fanciest car, but won't save for like 5 years from now or even more. And this was like the core insight. And we came up with 2 videos. One of them of a car guided by his luxurious car, and the other one of the wedding. I'm gonna share it now.
Instead of investing, you decided to spend your entire budget on a dream car. Be smart. Next time, invest some of it first. Explore thousands of stocks and ETFs on eToro. Invest in your future.
So this was the first one. The second one was about a wedding. Of course, it's now in English just for the presentation. The original one still runs in Italian for the local language. I'm going to show, let's see the other one, which is also kind of fun. Just remember, everything, not a single shot was created. Just think of the price quote on that kind of production. It's Marvel level production without leaving the house.
Instead of investing, you decided to spend your entire budget on a lavish wedding. Be smart. Next time, invest some of it first. Explore thousands of stocks and ETFs on eToro. Invest in your future.
So now we kind of ask ourselves, what do we learn from that instead of just showing off a bit? Listen, eToro's in marketing, it's with AI 360 thinking. We start from research to search ad, of course, and banners and video, and of course TV, and even outdoor ads. I won't show outdoor ads, don't worry. And email marketing, of course, and writing articles. Everything that we do now is AI is embedded with it, and of course there's a lot of human touch, but it's really was a game changer. So the question is, how do you get from this storyboard to that? By the way, this video was created about a year ago. Now it seems so outdated when you compare it to the current technology. So what worked for us was taking 20 years of experience in creating videos and break it into steps. So how do you really make great content? How do you make a commercial? In the old days, and you had, these are the basic steps. You write the script, you find like the great concept and write the script. Then there's casting, which is kind of fun. You see a lot of different people, a lot of different models and presenters, and you need to pick the right one to tell your story. Locations, you want to shoot in Tuscany, you need to see the venue. You need to see like 5, 6, maybe 10 venues until you decide this one is good enough. And it's always, remember, it's always like good enough, because you won't find the perfect place. You're going to find something that suits, that you can decorate so it will tell your story. Then there's the shooting day, which is maybe 1 day, maybe 2. If you're really, really, really rich, you can get the 3 days of shooting days. Real stressful. 50 people are sitting inside the tent, outside of somewhere, and working like day to night, and in the end you get something. And this is all the content you have to edit. Then you go to edit. You need to edit quite a lot. Later on, you have your first cut. You go to music. You find the right music, and then you find the right narration. And hey, sounds easy to create one ad. A lot of steps. And we ask ourselves, how can we optimize it? What can AI make? How can AI make life easier and faster? And I don't want to say faster, it still takes time, but easier and smarter and more agile. And apparently it's quite a lot. All those steps were AI generated. You can see that script and editing still not an AI, and I'll tell you a little a little secret. AI don't have emotions, so it doesn't know how to tell good stories yet. I don't know what will happen next week. I don't know what will happen in a year from now, but as for now, you still need editing and script. Everything that needs storytelling needs a human touch. So if you are a storyteller, you are safe for now. However, everything I've just described so far wasn't simple. There are a lot of challenges both on the employee and the management level in order to do it. I mentioned it took us 2.5 years to get where we are today. It's a process, and you need to accept that. From the employee's perspective, there's always the fear of new technology. There's people don't know how to accept it. Some people just don't know how to operate it. It seems you get big words like prompt engineering, and people just getting weird about it because they don't know how to. They think it's complex, and it is a bit complex, but it's still a hurdle they need to pass. There's the there's a slowdown in productivity. Everyone, each one of us, even me, want to go home faster. And if I know how to write content in 20 minutes, and with a new AI tool, it will take me 35 minutes, I would prefer doing it manually because it's faster, but then I don't learn anything. Eventually, I'm going to get into do it with AI in 5 minutes, but I need the initial slowdown is there, and this is why people are a bit reluctant to start with new technology. By the way, I'm pitching to the choir. If you are in this call, that means that you already passed this threshold, but I'm just telling you so you know how to deal with the people around you. There's always skepticism regarding the outputs. We know hallucinations. We know that AI lies. AI creates stuff that aren't. We remember the days with the 5, 6, 7, 8 fingers, and we didn't know what the rollout of AI will bring us. So there's a skepticism of it won't be good enough. And now you see, I hope you think that the content we've created was more than good enough. So we're there yet. We're already there. There's always it's a learning process. We all wake up in the morning, and now there's a new bunch of new tools and new gimmicks and new trends and new elements. You always need to keep up with that. I think that I'm gonna tell you a little secret, also a second secret here. There are no AI experts. If someone said that he's an AI expert, just ignore what he says, because any one of you can be an AI expert in 3 months. If you go get into it and really go to YouTube and go to the tutorials and watch the right let's say influencers or channels, you're gonna get better real fast. And also just think about everything changing all the time, so we always need to just understand the basic and know what's the current status on the technology. There's also, I just skipped on job security. People think that AI will take their jobs. I'm gonna give you a third spoiler. No, it's not. I'm just having more work. I'm just working much more since AI came, because now people expect me to deliver more, and we have more story to tell, and why not? Because we can. That's on the team perspective, but how were you as a manager? You also need to deliver also upwards and not only downwards. So making organizational change is not simple, and there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done, and the atmosphere that you create in order to harness people and make them really be on it. We created hackathons and a lot of different challenges in-house in order to push people to do that, and making this cultural change is not simple. There are also legal and managerial liability. If I created an ad 2 years ago. There was a production company and actors and I hire some stuff, and there are always more eyes to prevent you from doing something that is maybe breaching IP or showing brands that shouldn't be there. And AI, you don't know if it will bring it or will slip into you will slip in something that you shouldn't, like this is like someone else's property, like his face. I don't know. So there's a liability on your end. You need to be more responsible on the product that you create, and because now it's a shoulder, it's left hand to overwatch it. There's also a resistance from legal and security and finance. All those people get invoices of $20 from this small company somewhere, I don't know, and they are starting at sort of what, why, and how, and is it secure enough? Is it smart enough? And who do we even pay? I have gonna tell you a small story. I have one invoice one receipt that we never got from one supplier because it was just got closed. It was kind of weird. When we got into legal, I got into at some point into a point when I personally wrote the eToro's AI code of conduct, what you do and cannot do with AI and how to do it responsibly. And this was the branch that this was the stepladder that took legal off their branch, and now they feel more secure because we have like a mutual understanding on what can or can't be done with AI and how eToro won't get sued for breaching anything that is illegal or might breach IP. And the last one I just mentioned a bit ago, it may be the hardest one. It's quick results expected, despite it takes a long time to implement. When we got with AI, after 3 months, they already said, okay, we want to go live with an ad, just prompt an ad, and it doesn't work like that. So it's a learning curve. It took us 2.5 years on our end. Maybe it will be faster for you, but eventually you'll get there. And once you're there, you're going to start mass produce more and more content, more quality content. And lastly, we like to say in finance, time is money. Just that, so your CFOs will be more comfortable. Writing content is 50% faster today in eToro, even more. Average spent on creating an AI tactical video, don't think it's the video that I showed you. A tactical video, small ones, short ones, it's about $500. This is like, it comes to that. Full commercial, like we showed you, sometimes it's 16, maybe 90% saving per video. It depends on the complexity and how much time you spend it and how many localization you want to create. But you saw Marvel level craft without using CGI. Of course, with research, deep research, smart and faster, getting more insight, getting more knowledge about your competitors. And in the world of translation, we just managed to have 70. It's outdated. It's more than 70% of our translations we just made with AI, faster and almost immediately. And of course, we are just doing better work, and we can create more. And we can adapt very fast to the changing of the atmosphere. That was me. Thank you very much. I hope I gave you some value.
Sure, that was incredible. Thank you very much. Maybe can you go back on the slide, because like there is just I think the numbers and what you're presenting is insane. Like this is yeah, like I believe that the numbers and whatever you're achieving is incredible. And maybe I wanted to just ask you a question, because I know there are some questions in the audience. Maybe in terms of the creative process, were you also using images as a reference, or were you only using a text as a way how you text to video?
It depends. It depends. Sometimes we use image to video, which is great. You have more control of over the output. You have a starting point, and then sometimes you can even use an endpoint. But you have a starting point. You can see like 50 different images fast and decide which is the best actor, the best visual and best frame to use. It's not always the case. When we created the Italian ad, it was purely text to video. It's only for we wanted for consistency, and we needed it for more control on some of the shots. And back then it got better results. It felt more natural.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on the situation. Like every time you get a different one. When you use, by the way, when you use presenter, like if I want to keep consistency of the same person, I would use image to image, because I can create Laura. I can use the same visual with Photoshop and then throw it in the AI engine and animate it. And now the engines can do it amazing. Like Veo3 does it amazing.
Fantastic, thank you. And then maybe like in terms of the have you noticed anything particular in regards to the performers, or like is there anything in regards to, like you mentioned that you were able to create a higher velocity, meaning you can do more commercials. So like is the marketing department right now viewed a bit more strategically, that you can really deliver something that hasn't been possible before?
Yeah. I had this slide which I dropped, was about creating niche product. There's a lot. You remember, each one of you might be familiar with this one feature that your company has that is very, very cool, but it's not that profitable, and no one will give you the budget to really create an ad for it. So you would create a post with maybe some text notes, maybe if you're really lucky, it's gonna be like titles and with the image. Now you can create a full video just with that, and I think this is the main issue. You can get into niche product and create more content and test it out, test it small, and even if it works, perfect, let's create more. If it doesn't work, it's not a big loss, and no one will ever notice you created it.
Yeah, amazing. And then maybe last question, like, so imagine that there are probably people that are having some experience, people that are having zero experience, and maybe different teams. So how would you suggest right now marketing teams to start working with this if they are like totally new?
First of all, it needs to come from two levels. It needs to come from up down, then from bottom up, and I'll tell you why. In eToro, I was very lucky because our CEO was very, very, very sacked on it from day one. So when we requested access to tools, we had almost immediate green light. So it was easier. We know we had the backups because the system wanted it. So first of all, make sure the system wanted, and even if not, you need the champions from down to have found the 1, 2, 3 people that really keen to it. I was one just because I wanted to. At the beginning, when it just started, I took upon myself to do it and to be the AI champion for eToro marketing, just because I decided to. But if you want to control it more, find the ones that are keen to it, and maybe they don't really make the big changes, and help them, give them tools and help them showcase stuff, give them time to create it. If they'll have enough passion, they will create stuff that people will get envy to and want also to create themselves.
Amazing. Thank you, Shai. This has been extremely insightful, especially for me. So I hope for others you've learned a ton. So thank you for sharing the story with us. And right now we will move on towards some other sections. Amazing. So again, thanks a lot. Are there any last words that you would like to share?
No, just have fun. First of all, have fun. Just remember, we are living in an amazing era. Just fun with the technology. Explore and don't be afraid of it. We now tell more stories than ever before.
Indeed. Thank you, Shai. And with that, I'm gonna try something which is gonna be extremely difficult, and but it needs to be done. And what I'll do is I'll essentially try to set some foundation for the rest of the webinar. So as I mentioned, this is going to be difficult because there's probably some people that have a lot of experience working with Veo, some that don't, and some maybe that are just starting out. So in this part, I'm just going to cover the basics. And then we're going to have Floor and Wafa. They're going to be talking a bit more about how to achieve character consistency. How can you adhere to brand guidelines? What are the tips when it comes to prompting? And we're going to be showing you some examples of the different commercials and what are the partial prompts that were used when it comes to the commercials. So it's all gonna come. We just need to do it one step at a time, just to make sure that we don't lose you. So with that, I'll just do high-level introduction, and then we're gonna take it a bit deeper. So nowadays, on Vertex AI and Google Cloud, we are providing you state-of-the-art models that can help you generate video, namely Veo3, images through Imagen, but there are also components that can help you tackle the audio. So we have Lyria, that's a model that can help create music, and we have Chirp, that's our voice generation model. So I'm gonna unpack them one step at a time, and this is just a screen how the media looks like if you would go to Google Cloud and you would find Media Studio. This is the screen that's gonna welcome you, where you have the different modalities that you can start experimenting with. With that, let me start with Veo3. So Veo3 is our state-of-the-art model, which is covering a lot of amazing commercials, including ones that you've seen from eToro. And we're gonna dive deeper into the features, but I just want to show you on a high level what's possible. So Veo is essentially enabling you to bring speech and audio. So you can bring dialogue into your
untamed might,
videos.
and she commands your awe.
At the same time,
breaking light.
you can bring sound. And you can create extremely surreal and adherent prompts that can really follow the instructions. So this is something that where we're putting a lot of efforts in improving the overall experience when it comes to prompting. So this is the part with Veo. Right now we had previous generation of Veo that's still extremely useful. So you can use both models depending on what you want to use. So when it comes to Veo, again, we're going to be talking in a bit more details around it. But we have certain features that can help you to paint over your video or over your images, and they can remove or bring in some other objects. You can also request a camera controls, meaning that you can, if you have a shot that you like and you would like to edit a particle angle, maybe zoom in or zoom out or rotate, move back, you have also the camera controls in the Veo2. You can also apply certain styles to the videos. And like I mentioned, bring in some content on top of the existing videos through outpainting. With Imagen, that's our studio-grade model that can help you generate images. We're going to be actually announcing here something that's going to come in public preview. So there's going to be one exciting announcement that's going to come from Buffett. But Imagen is our core model that we're using for generating images. Right now, I'm going to talk a bit more about the use cases. There are particle improvements when it comes to text. So nowadays, you can also ask the images to have certain texts. We're going to be talking a bit more about how you take your existing, product and you put it in different contexts so that you can do some localization. But essentially, this is our core model for creating images. Now we have Lyria, and Lyria can speak for itself. So let me just play this one for you.
Tonight I gotta go. This energy is pulling me out the shadows where I'm meant to be. There is this sparkling.
diamonds, they sparkle so bright. A ballroom filled with folks dressed up for the night.
So this was Lyria. As you can see, there's multiple genres and sounds that you can produce throughout, simple prompt. We're going to talk a bit more about the workflow, how you can get some good inspiration for creating the right music and background for your particle video. But essentially, nowadays, all of these technologies are available to help you create something incredible. So let me move towards the next part. So right now we created our commercial, our images, we added sound, and we can even bring on the voices. So I'm going to play with you a few voices that we have right now in more than 30 languages. There are 30 options. And I'm going to play just some so that you can get a taste of them.
Hi there. We're introducing a new feature where I can read ideas and topics aloud with a natural, human-like voice. Before you get started, please take a moment to go over this important information.
Hi there. We're introducing a new feature where I can read ideas and topics aloud with a natural, human-like voice. Before you get started, please take a moment to go over this important information.
Hi there. We're introducing a new feature where I can read ideas and topics aloud with a natural, human-like voice. Before you get started, please take a moment to go over this important information.
So here is a few examples out of many that can be used nowadays to help and bring some voiceover on top of your commercials or training videos or whatever material and content you would like to produce. So, this is the full stack studio that you can use. And right now, this slide is something that I wanted to put in here just to give you some understanding of what are the different ways how we can access the technologies. Because a lot of customers are asking, why should we use, maybe Google Cloud versus why should we use Flow versus why should we, use Gemini? All of these tools are extremely helpful, and they have particular use cases and user groups. When it comes to Vertex AI and Google Cloud, where Veo3 is available, there are several differentiators that can be used to create several great commercials. And first distinction is around, first of all, Veo within Google Cloud is enterprise ready. And that means a lot of different things. But one of this means that you essentially can use also the API so that you can manage and create the commercials at scale. Another big distinction is that, for instance, you have certain editing features like extending the video that's available within Google Cloud, or the interpolation that we're going to talk about. So in terms of the features, you'll find the most features within the Vertex AI platform, particularly around the enterprise ready features. You can also use Veo and integrate it into your existing application through an API. So if you have a particular product or you are an agency and you would like to let your customers to go and create their own videos, you can take Veo, embed it into your application, and your users could be generating commercials based on what you would like, based on what they would like. At the same time, there is a very important point about indemnity and how we can protect you in terms of the content that's going to be created through these technologies. And that's a point that I just wanted to double click on because I think it's a very unique and important. And that's coming to this part. So there's an article released that essentially is talking about how we are producing and training the different models. And as part of that, we're talking about the fact that if you're going to be legally challenged on the copyright grounds, we will assume responsibility for the potential legal risks. So there is a dedicated article where you can read a bit more about this. This is the name of the article. But for the indemnification, Google Cloud, the terms and conditions are there, and we got you covered. So it's another reason why if I go back to the table, you know, Vertex AI on Google Cloud is the place where you're getting these benefits, and that's probably where you want to start your enterprise use cases. However, you're more than welcome to use the other, you know, different tools like Flow and Gemini and Google Wits for some experimentation. Okay, with that, I think we covered some basics, and I'm gonna right now just give you a few examples, and then share with you some best practices, and then we're gonna move towards the other parts of the webinar. So first, let me play this ad, and
Indiana gonna win, baby!
We're in Florida asking people what they put their money on! I'm all in on OKC!
Indiana got that dog in them!
Will egg prices go up this month?
I think we'll hit $20. How many hurricanes do you think we'll have this year?
Kalshi!
Kalshi lets you legally trade on anything, anywhere in the U.S.
OKC!
Indy! OKC!
so again, this has been a commercial that has been produced during NBA Finals, and you can see there are a few interesting statistics. How long it took? It was one person, 2 to 3 days. How many clips it took to generate one particle useful commercial, and what was the final cost reduction versus the traditional production. I think some of the best practices that what you can see in the video is that there has been a lot of situation that were not possible, you know, to easily film, like an alligator in, you know, for instance, a very public scene, or, you know, creating a pool with X. It's something that could be very expensive and very difficult to create. And with these models, you can go and you can really creatively test your ideas and prototype faster. So I think for the creative parts, you know, you can really go and start testing and validating your ideas, and then you can still decide to make your own shot and shoot it the traditional way. But just in terms of the prototyping and the velocity and the quality, you can accelerate the whole process to get to your final footage. So that's just one example that is exciting. I'm gonna move to another. So this is a, you know, traditional use case where I think a lot of us are heading towards this direction where we will be producing product-focused commercials, and this one is done for BMW. And again, the amount of consistency that you were getting throughout a video was achieved a lot through your using, you know, images as an input that was then used towards creating a video. So we're going to talk about a technique in a bit more detail, but that's something that, you know, definitely will be more accessible and useful for all of you. What is a very, you know, on top of mind use case, and again, we're going to talk a bit more about it, is you can take your product and you can go and put it in a different context and make it, you know, more visually appealing for particular target group and at a fraction of the cost. So, you know, you can run a lot of A/B tests on top of your e-commerce website where you can bring in the same content with a different backgrounds and try to focus on different target groups just to help you, you know, increase the return on investment. One last use case around catalog enrichment. So probably a lot of the customers in the retail are having a lot of different, you know, data sets that are not complete. It could be, maybe the description and the quality is not the best, or the localization, you're not having all the different languages available, or the quality of the images is not the best. So we're seeing a lot of use cases that customers are using these technologies to go and improve their catalog so that it could be complete. And, they're starting with maybe simple descriptions, then, moving towards videos, short animations, working with the different localization. We've seen it in the case of eToro as well. So these are the, a few use cases that we are essentially seeing. And with that, I think there is one last use case, which is the personalization at scale, where, again, you can very easily go and start advertising at different locations for particular target groups, just to make more engagement being driven in a particular segment. So again, very affordable these days to go and recreate the particular contents to drive hyper-personalization. Okay, and I think with that, the floor is yours. So I'll pass it over. And Flora, you can take us through certain features when it comes to Imagen. And
yes, thank you. Can you make me co-presenter, Jan, so I can click through the slides right here? Great, thank you. So hi, everybody. It's so great to see all of you here. We have a great turnout, and I'm so happy that you're all here. My name is Floor. I'm an AI solution architect based in Amsterdam. And what I'll be doing, I'll be walking you through some of the very new features in Imagen and in Veo. And some general guidelines and prompting strategies. So again, if you have a question, there's lots of questions in the Q&A already. We're going to try to answer as many of them as we can. We are running a little bit behind. I already see we have so much content to share with you, but please do keep asking them. And I saw some of your questions, and I'll try to answer them to go along as we go. Okay, so let's get started. So Imagen product features. So a lot has been happening in the world of Gen AI, right? That should come as no surprise, and especially in the world of these generative media products that we have. So Imagen4 was released a couple of weeks ago, and Imagen4 has some significant advantages over its predecessor, which was Imagen3, of course. First of all, it has really outstanding text rendering, right? All of us know that image generation models were kind of lacking in text generation, but Imagen4 makes up for that. And next to that, obviously, we also have just overall improved quality. We have a couple of different flavors of Imagen4. So we have the default model, right, which delivers best-in-class quality. But we also have the ultra model, which is an even bigger model for if you need really exceptional model quality. But obviously, this comes at a cost, right, and also at a higher latency. And for those use cases where you just want it kind of general faster image generation, we also have a lighter model called Imagen4 Fast. So you can really pick the best model for your specific use case. We still have Imagen3. Why would you want to use Imagen3 when a better model is out? Well, the answer is simple. Imagen3 is generally available right now, which means that it is safe to use it for production purposes, right? So if you would want to integrate your Imagen in one of your production products, then you should definitely use Imagen3. Imagen4 is still in public preview right now, so it's not quite ready for production, but you can definitely start testing with it. Imagen3 also still great quality, so go ahead and incorporate that in your products if you would need to. We have a new product also that we are launching. This is a product. It is still in private preview, but we'll send the sign-up link to you if you answer the questionnaire at the end of the webinar. But this is very exciting because we're hearing from lots of our e-commerce customers that they would actually want to use Imagen to kind of put the products that they're selling, mainly like lifestyle products, right, in a different setting. And there hasn't really been a great solution for that up until now. So we are launching a new API called the Imagen Product Recontext. So this is basically what it looks like, right? So you upload a couple of images of your product that you have, and then you give it a certain prompt to place it in a certain setting. And then you can easily recreate kind of these product marketing pictures that you would want to. You can create personalized media for your customers or whatever you would want. Obviously, it's a private preview, so we're still testing it. So if you want to test along with it, please sign up. Again, we will send you the link to the sign up form. And there are still some limitations to the product, but generally, I think this is going to be of great help for lots of people. This is another example that we have, right? So you give it the product images, kind of a description, and then out comes an image that is specifically features your product in a different setting. So this is different from the generalized imaging model in the sense that this is fine-tuned specifically for this task, right? It's not a general image model. It is really trained to place these products in a different context. So try it out if that is of value of you. So what is needed to make a great Imagen prompt, right? So far the updates about Imagen. Now I'm going to give you some general tips on how to use Imagen, and they will become more and more specific as this webinar continues. So these are all the kind of different parts of a prompt that you want to have full control over the outcome, right? So the style, you can get the subject description, photography style, camera, etc., etc. And I'm going to show you some examples of not so good prompts and better prompts. For example, if you use a generic prompt, like for example, a woman in a red dress, the model kind of defaults to a studio photography style, which might not be what you're looking for, right? If it is, that's fine, okay, stop there. But if it's not, then you kind of would need to refine the prompt further. So if you would write a more detailed prompt, and this is really kind of like a human written prompt, right? So a happy woman in a red dress running in the park, we can already see that the outputted image becomes more and more specific. It will produce more natural looking results. However, if you then, for example, ask a large language model like Gemini to refine this prompt further, you might even get better results, right? So, for example, a vibrant portrait of a woman in a flowing red dress, her hair flying behind her as she sprints through a sun-drenched park, blah, blah, blah. Probably a human did not write this, right? This is really like an LLM-generated prompt, but it works great, this workflow, if you want the highest quality images. So, as I said, long prompts, however, not too long. And you really need to experiment a little bit for the specific task that you are using Imagen for, which length prompt works the best, right? Because too much detail can also kind of cloud, whatever Imagen outputs and actually not get a better result. So I would just recommend starting with a kind of minimal formula that works well and kind of build out from there. So subject, action, and scene. So for example, here, subject, origami owl made of brown paper. Action, it is perched on the branch of a tree. And then the evergreen tree is the scene in here. Same for this next one. So a stylish young man with dark hair with sunglasses sits on an orange Vespa on a cobblestone street. For these examples, this works great. However, if you want something really, really weird, something that really does not exist before, then you would probably need a longer prompt, right? So for example, goldfish cat hybrid, you can see this is really not a good output right here because this looks like a kind of regular goldfish actually. But you would need then a longer prompt. So for example, a fish with distinct features of a cat's face and so on and so forth. So the rarer the thing is that you want to describe, the more specific that you need to be basically. You can also easily generate kind of surreal objects. You just have to be very, very clear to Imagen what you want to see, right? Obviously, these models are creative in the sense that they can produce things that have not been produced before. However, if you are having a clear image in your mind of what you want to see, then you need to be clear about that. So in this case, isometric perspective of object fully made from material. Kind of these have the same base prompt, but then with different details filled in. All right, one of the last slides I think I have right here on Imagen. So what we see in general is that literal prompts produce better results. What do I mean by that? What we see here in this prompt, this is describing kind of like a feeling, right? A setting, a vibe, if I may say so. So field plot, a traveling carnival arrives in a small town with a carousel that transports riders to other planets. A young man discovers the ride also shows glimpses of possible futures. it does not really adhere to the prompt really well, because we don't see a young man, we don't see any of this vibe that's set in this prompt in the corresponding image. However, if we become way more literal, what we want to see, we get a much better result, right? And again, use Gemini for this, because Gemini is great at this. So a cinematic still from a movie showcasing a vintage carousel bathed in ethereal glow of dusk, its ornate horses casting long dancing shadows, blah, blah, blah. It's still not perfect. However, it adheres much, much, much better to the scene that we set out in the first prompt. All right, so how do you adhere to marketing guidelines? Something that we hear a lot. So this is just a couple of quick tips from us to you. This is also still an ongoing work of kind of like investigation, right? And research also for us. So what we are saying here is not like a definite guideline from us. It's just some tips and tricks that you can try to see if it works well. So what you can do is actually create an agent, right? A prompting agent based upon your own branding guidelines and general image generation prompting guidelines, right? So let me show you what I mean by that. So right here, we have on the left-hand side, we have a prompt, right? So take my brand guidelines and combine them with best practices for prompting Imagen. Here are my brand guidelines, and here are the best practices for prompting. So what we did right here is we created a Gemini gem, right? In the chat with Gemini interface, if you have access to the chat with Gemini interface, you can create a gem, which is basically like an agent. And what you can then do is ask this specific agent, okay, I want to create a image with, you know, these characteristics. Give me the complete prompt that will adhere to my branding guidelines. So right here we have generated from your prompt of dog, right? So I want to see an image of a dog eventually, and then we get like a full prompt that will help us adhere to our specific branding guidelines. If these really adhere to your branding guidelines, I mean, you need to test and iterate and maybe make it more specific as you go along. You can also then obviously kind of create a validation agent again. So create also a gem to kind of validate the output images that you get in the first place. But you need to think in this iterative way, right? So the best results and all these ads that you have seen before were not just created with, you know, one prompt. Okay, you get one video, one shot example, let's go, this is perfect. No, it's probably not perfect at your first try. Doesn't mean that you cannot really get really good results, but it needs to be an iterative process, is what we're trying to say. All right, I know I'm rushing kind of through this. So again, post your questions in the chat. I will try to answer them as I go along. But we have still lots of content to go through, so I will just move ahead to the Veo section. So Veo, this is what we saw before, right? So with Veo3, we can actually create all kinds of videos that actually have very realistic dialogue. So I'm just going to show you a little bit of it. If I can, no, okay.
The microfilm is in your ticket.
This I'm going to show you.
They're watching the north exit. Use the service tunnel.
Okay, so think about what we were hearing here, right? So we saw video, but the video we could already generate. What we can hear here is native audio generated by Veo. And not only a dialogue that we hear between the two characters, but we hear background noise also. So it's kind of like an ambient setting all at once with just one single video generation prompt, right? And I'm also going to show you this video. This is a great example as well. So what we can see right here is that we see a car kind of, you know, racing through the mud water, and we don't just hear the engine of the car, but we also hear water splashing up and everything, right? So it actually is very, very complex, and it gives you multiple audio to make a realistic scene as much as possible. We saw this before. This is kind of like an exceptional. This is this one. No, Jan showed you this before. I just want you to realize how good Veo actually is at prompt adherence, right? This is like a completely new, like immersive world that we're drafting with camera controls and everything kind of put into it, and it adheres to the prompt really, really well. All right, so we have the same things with Veo3 and Veo2 as we had with Imagen4, right? So we still have Veo2. Veo2 is not deprecated. Actually, Veo2 is generally available right now, meaning you can use it for production purposes. Veo3 is for experimentation. Veo2 is for production purposes. We have all kinds of features of Veo2 that you can now use that are either also in public preview or generally available. But for example, what we have, and I saw this question on the chat, is it still only limited to 8 seconds? Yes, clips are limited to 8 seconds. However, with Veo2, we have an option to extend your videos. What you do is you first generate a video of maximum 8 seconds, and then you can actually extend upon that video to make it, you know, 5 or 8 seconds longer, and then do it again and again and again. And in this way, this iterative process, you can actually create one long video. But obviously, all of these ads that you saw before are generated by just generating 8-second clips and then kind of stitching them together at the end. We also have different aspect ratios and everything. This is also what Jan already showed you. So camera movements, those presets, and very useful on the left-hand side, we see interpolation, meaning you can give Veo the first frame and the last frame of your video, and it will kind of just figure it out. So for example, we see right here an astronaut in the water and an astronaut in space, and Veo then kind of imagines the rest. It's very useful if you want to have a little bit more control over the video that you generate. Next to that, also Veo can do video editing, which is super useful if you want to generate videos that you want to show on multiple platforms, right? You can do the in-painting, meaning that you kind of delete objects that were there present in the scene, and the out-painting, right, which is kind of like changing the different aspect ratios. All right, so I'm just going to share with you a more advanced Veo workflow, right? So the image and prompting tips that I gave before, I'm also going to give you them right now for Veo, and then I'm going to hand over to Wefe for the last section of this webinar, which is all about character consistency, because I know you're all very curious about that. So Wefe actually wrote a great Medium blog post, which will explain everything in so much more detail than I can tell you right now. And we're going to send you that Medium blog post also at the end of the webinar. But just to preface this section, these are all the things that you can think about when actually creating a Veo scene, right? And the more detail you give, again, the better your output will become, as long as your prompt is detailed. So, for example, you have to define your subject really, really well if you want it to look in a really specific way. For example, this one. Right? It's a really, really kind of like, it's kind of like a character. And to get the outputs, you need to define your subject really well. Next one I'm going to show you is how to define multiple subjects, a prompt. You have to define multiple subjects to create one scene. So let's take a look. Again, a super futuristic scene in which there are multiple subjects that are each doing another thing, right? So you can define them and define them in detail to make sure that you actually get the correct scene that you want. All right, if you want to make your scene come alive, you can actually describe emotional changes in phases and also describe actions in detail. So let's see that. Right, so this really makes your video look more lifelike and less AI generated. And again, no need to write all of this down. We'll send you a Medium blog post that will explain all of this in detail and also has these examples. So again, you can add camera angles to make to kind of get the perspective that you want. And these examples are very cool. And the other one is extreme close-up. Say that if you want your generated videos to look like, you have to have a little bit of filmmaking knowledge, right? Think like a filmmaker, and that's when you'll get the best results. This is a thing that is kind of going viral a little bit on LinkedIn right now. So let's see it. I think you may have seen it before. So this is actually using timestamps, meaning that you describe in the 8-second scene you can create, right? Because that's the limits for Veo3 at least. You describe with timestamps what you want to happen, what you wanted to do at every single second. And this works actually pretty well. You can do this in natural language. You can also do this in a little bit more structured format, as you see here. Right? So there's actually not really a difference if you do it in a structured form or in natural language. However, if you want to make like a prompt template, for example, you want to kind of reuse the prompts but with different details, then it's probably easier for you to have like a sort of structured way of input, for example, in JSON or in another kind of structured language. However, you can also just do this in natural language if you would want to, right? But this is a great tip. So if you feel like you have exactly in your mind, like, oh, I want this to happen in first second, then I want this to happen in the second second, please try this out. All right, these are other things to think about, but again, I don't have time to go through all of it, so we will send it to you after the webinar. All right, so we've also kind of made a app or a web page to help you write good Veo prompts. So please go to veostart.netlify.app and you will find kind of like a structured way to generate good Veo prompts, right? If you have trouble with that, do try it out, and then you can try it out and do the prompt in Veo afterwards. All right, so the general workflow to create a longer video, and I'm going to go through this pretty quickly because I think you saw this before, is to kind of use all of the different tools that we have, right? So use Gemini, use Imagen, and then use Veo. For example, use Gemini to create ideas and use Gemini to create a storyboard. What you can then do is you can use Imagen to create the first of that specific scene, right? And then you can actually create different videos all with Veo. For example, this is a quick example that I'm going to give you, and this was made with Veo2. I'm just going to add this as a disclaimer because the sound you will hear at the end of it is actually not natively generated in Veo, but you can do that now, and I guess you'll get the general idea. So everything, all the text and the idea generated by Gemini, and all of the images that you see right here were generated by Imagen. This way you have like real proper control over the eventual video that you want to create. So what we're going to see right here is
Premium Coffee selects only the top 1% of fair trade Arabica beans. Slow roasted, perfectly brewed. Releasing notes of chocolate and spice. Premium Coffee, the taste of true distinction.
All right, so what we saw was kind of like a full video with several different scenes, and they were all generated separately and then stitched together. And the audio that you heard was also, and like I just said, not natively generated in Veo, but generated with Chirp, the voice, and Lyria, the music, right? So that's how you get one comprehensive kind of commercial using all of these generative AI tools that we have in our generative AI suite. So please use them to your advantage. Make it an iterative process. Those are the best tips that I can give you right now. And I'm going to hand it over right now to Wafe to talk about character consistency. You are on mute.
Yeah, thanks, and hi everyone. So thanks for staying with us until the last very part of the webinar. So my name is Wafa. I'm a generative AI specialist. I'm based in Paris, and I will delve a little bit deeper into a specific aspect of generating video, something I know is very important for you as you're creating content. And I saw a lot of questions around this in the chat. So hopefully this section will help you get some of the answers. So I'll be talking about character consistency or consistency in general. So generative video models have made a lot of incredible progress. A lot of the things that we have showed today were not existing a few months ago, and that says a lot about how the field is really evolving. But there are still some areas that remain challenging for the models. One of them is consistency. So what do we mean exactly by consistency? Let me try to explain this with a simple example. So today with Veo3, you can generate videos up to 8 seconds, right? That's clearly not enough if you want to create something long, a long narrative, a movie, a long branded material, whatever. In this scenario, you need longer videos. And more importantly, you need continuity, right? So that means if you are generating characters, they should appear in different shots with the same features, the same proportions. It's not just about appearance. The voice also should sound the same, and the background, the lighting. So everything should stay similar across the entire scene. So that's what we mean by consistency. And it's actually the first thing that your viewers see. So it's basically impacts the entire quality of your prompt, right? Sorry, just a second. I have to. Okay, just a second. I'm having some issue with my slides. Just a minute.
Should we check?
No worries. In the meantime, I can just I can share with you one thing that our PM did from DeepMind. I think it's an extremely interesting commercial where you see the technique when it comes to character consistency, and it's actually showing you the 3-minute video, which is essentially all about being consistent through different through different scenes, and I found it like extremely insightful. So if you will allow me, I can play that one real quick, and we can make sure that we're getting a great time, all of us. So let me just share my screen real quick, and I'm gonna play this one because that one is extremely cool. So let me just go here. So Matteo, he is our lead in the DeepMind, who is a lot behind the research. He's creating a lot of great content, and one of the featured commercial that he did recently was around consistent characters. It was this one, and I found it particularly entertaining because it has a lot of great features. So let me just play it real quick, and then Rafa will get back to you.
The art itself. The artist should be ashamed. This is an outrage.
I see that we're ready, so I'm not gonna play it all. It's just an incredible piece of art, so to speak, that has been created by our PM. So Matthew, he's incredibly heavy into this space, as he's creating a lot of the research behind it. So you can then see his channel, and you will see a lot of great inspiration in how he's approaching the commercials. Martha, are we good to go?
Yeah.
Perfect. Just share the screen when you're ready.
Yeah, it's coming. Does everyone see my screen?
I think it is not coming up yet.
Okay.
Let me try again.
Yeah.
No problem. That's part of the. At least everyone sees that this is a live webinar.
Okay.
Not pre-recorded.
Asking if Shy is also AI generated, so you can see that none of us is AI generated, and
So it should be okay right now.
Yes. Now I see it.
Now it works.
Great. So sorry for this.
No worries.
Great. So let's just look at the big picture for consistency. So you have 3 different workflows you can use with Veo to generate videos, right? Each of these workflows.
So if I can interrupt you really quickly, can you click the there's still the banner on your slides. Can you no, you can just click on the tab that you're sharing.
Okay.
Just so everyone can see your full slides.
Okay. Is it fine? Are we good right now?
No, we don't see your screen.
That's definitely the the demo effect. Okay. Let me try again. Hopefully it will work this time.
We're good.
Great. Let's talk about the workflow now. So you have 3 different workflows. The first one is text to video. So this is where you start with the text, you generate a video, right? This workflow will give you a good consistency for imaginary characters when you're creating new characters, because with text to video, you can basically describe everything. You can control the overall scene, the overall background, lighting, whatever you want. But if you are trying to generate an existing character, especially if it's based on a real character or on a real product, this is very challenging for the model. So you need to describe all the details, and even with the techniques that we are sharing with you today, the text to video workflow is not the workflow that will give you the best consistency for existing characters, right? So next workflow is the image to video. Here you start with an image of the character, and then you add motion to turn it into a video. This will give you better consistency for existing characters because the model uses the image directly. So it doesn't try to reinterpret the face or style, whatever. But here you trade off a little bit of creativity because you are starting from a fixed visual. You have less control over the full scene. You have less control over the lighting, the composition, compared to building everything from text. Now there is a 2-step approach where you can mix both. You can start with text, go through image, and then turn your image to video. This basically will give you the best of 2 worlds because you will have a strong creativity to create your image, and then your image will be turned into a video. So everything ultimately depends on your use case. If you're creating long-form stories or that uses real characters, then maybe image to video or the 2 steps approach is the first one. So let's see some best practices. When using text to video, the key to achieve character consistency is first, you need to be very descriptive. You need to really generate all the tiny details to describe all the small details about your character. And then you need to reuse the exact same character description across all your scenes. It's really need to be the same. And you want to clearly define everything that you want about your character. You need to describe the hairstyle, the facial features, and everything. This was shared previously. You don't need to do that manually. You can ask Gemini. You can ask AI to help you with that. AI is very good at generating these details, so you can ask Gemini to generate this for you. Now, if you are also generating voice, it's really helpful to give your character a voice style and also reuse the same description across scenes, because that's how you can achieve also voice consistency. And from a reusability perspective, especially if you are building something large scale in a production environment, it's also a good practice to assign some tag or name or whatever, ID, whatever you want to your characters. So if you are working with hundreds of scenes, you can have this description reusable and tied to your characters. You can plug them into templates, build some automation, and define some logic for your prompts. So it becomes basically modular and scalable. Now, one extra tip that is very helpful when you're working with real characters is something we informally call the sketch artist technique. So the idea here is inspired by the sketch artist. The way how sketch artists describe a face, they really focus on some unique features and they break it down region by region. You can follow the same kind of structure. You can ask Gemini to act like a sketch artist and guide you through it. It can help you generate these very detailed, consistent characters. We have actually open sourced this workflow recently. So if you're interested, we can also share with you the code for this after the session for the sketch artist technique. So let's take an example here. In this example, I want to generate a short story, more than 8 seconds, of course, for a character named Clara. And I want to show her across different moments and also across different locations, but with a single and consistent narrative. So as you can imagine, I created separate prompts for each scene. What is important is that I reuse the same exact description, as I mentioned, of Clara in each of these prompts, including her voice style. The phrasing, the wording is identical. The only parts that I changed is the new scene context, where she is, what she's doing, all these new changes to build out the story. So you can see the first examples here. This is the third example, and I will show you the results.
It has to be here.
I knew it. The path starts from here.
After all these years, I found it.
Great. So those are 3 separate videos that were generated. They were stitched together, and it really feels like one story. The same person, the same voice. That's exactly what we aim for when we talk about character consistency. So we still have 5 minutes. Let's see how it works for image to video. So here you start with a reference image. That image becomes the foundation for your model. The most important here, the golden rule, is to choose the right image. What does the right image mean? It's not just only about the quality, it's also about the framing, the style of your image. So let me give you an example. If you want to generate a zoom-in shot video, it's not a good idea to start from a distance image or a wide image, because it's not going to work. That's a mismatch. It makes it very hard for the model to maintain consistency. So make sure that your reference image is well composed for the animation that you want to achieve. There are also some really effective techniques inspired by cinematic editings that are supported by Veo. Things like jump cuts, match cuts. I will show you some examples about this. Those are techniques that help you create scene transitions while preserving character consistency with the original image. So you can use them to create multiple character transitions and then stitch together a full narrative with multiple shots. So I will show you this in practice. here is an example with the image to video workflow. So these are 3 different prompts for 3 different scenes. The goal here, of course, is to keep the character consistent across the narrative. We are starting with the reference image here, so we don't need to describe the subject. That's already there. We focus on the transitions, the animation, and what we want to change from scene to scene. So in the second scene and second one, I'm using the match cuts and the jump cut techniques. These are great examples of how you can guide the model to use cinematic prompting to generate these transitions. And then I use these 3 prompts to build a short narrative. And in the next slide, I will show you. So this is the final result.
Sorry, I'm just going to interrupt you for a second. Can you please go to the tab that you're presenting and click away the pop-up? Because don't stop sharing your screen, but just go to the tab and there you can click the pop-up because it's blocking a part of your screen.
I don't see any pop-up in my screen.
In your presentation tab that you are sharing, the tab that you're sharing yourself?
Okay,
yeah. There, yeah, thank you.
Great. So that's an actual image that I use.
These branches are unusually.
And I created 3 different scenes, and let's see the final result.
Slick. Fascinating biome diversity here. This is not optimal for a lemur's thermal regulation, but I remain adaptable.
Okay.
Is unlike anything I've encountered.
So I think you saw some parts of the video. Everything in like the voice and the eye colors stayed the same. So all the small details were reproduced in the video. I want to go quickly over the last part, which is the image to video, the 2 steps approach. So the same principle of consistency we talked about apply here, but here you want to go through an image first and then transform your image to a video. So you want to have this consistency applied at the image level. The reason why this 2 steps approach will work better than going directly from a text to video is because achieving character consistency at the image level is relatively easier than video. So if you go through, for instance, Imagen and generate your image, describe your image, your scene, and then transform this to a video, you will have more creativity, more control creativity, as well as better consistency. So coming back to our objective, now we want to generate an image, and we have discussed we need to be really descriptive. So if you start with something vague like this example, this is what you get, something completely for different people, and that's not clearly what you want when you want to create consistent narrative with a recurrent character. So how do we improve this? There are 2 tips here that you can use. Imagen has a built-in feature that is called prompt enhancer. If you enable a prompt enhancer, it automatically adds details for you. So this is basically, this prompt was created by the prompt enhancer, and you have details that are added automatically. There is also another feature which is extremely useful, the seed parameter. This is right now available only through the SDK. It helps you with the reproducibility. So if you use the same prompt multiple times with the same seed parameter, you can get similar results. And these are very powerful techniques. If you know how to use them, you already have a very good foundation for consistency for generating your video. So now you have generated, let's say you generated your image and we want to build a story, for instance, around this character. So we will give the character a name, let's say Amelia. And what you're seeing here, so these are different images generated with Imagen across different seasons. As you can see, the character the character consistency is very good here. Once you have this, you can easily take each of these images and pass them into the image to video and then stitch the clips together to form the narrative. And we are over time, so I will go directly to the final results. These are the prompts that I used for this. We can share this with you after the webinar, and this is the final results.
Every beginning carries a scent of blossom.
I thought change would be louder. But it came like autumn, quiet and full of color. Time doesn't ask us to move. It just waits.
Great, so that was the last example I have for today. Of course, everything I shared is to illustrate the potential. You can really go far beyond with creativity. We have seen all this fantastic work from eToro, but if you just search Veo3 on YouTube, you will find some impressive videos. Honestly, some of them are very hard to believe that they are generated by AI versus a Hollywood movie, a Hollywood director shooting them. And yeah, thank you very much for listening. Not sure if we have time for questions, but I think we will be answering the questions offline.
Great.
Indeed, thank you. Yeah, I think we run a little bit over time. So thank you all. There are a few questions, so we'll probably take some time, maybe 2-3 extra minutes, and we'll try to answer some of them. In the meantime, we'll be following up with you, and we'll be sharing some of the materials, and we'll potentially ask you to fill a survey where we will, we're trying to form a community of people that can, help each other. At the same time, we can give you access to some of the preview features. So, we'll be sharing with you a forum where you can express your interest if you would like to get some help from us, if you share with us what you're creating. So I can actually put it on the screen right now because usually first come, first served. So maybe let me just share this with you. So here we have this QR code. If you
I also shared it in the chat, the link for people who would
fantastic.
like.
So you can essentially get on there. There are a bunch of questions, and we're planning to do a next webinar in 2 weeks' time, where we'll be focusing on a bit more e-commerce, retail, and groceries area. So we'll be talking a bit more around that and how you can go from image to very specific videos. So we'll be working on that, and we'll be sharing an invite with you. And with that, I think we can take a couple questions. Maybe, I don't know if there's any that whoever wants to take, if it's or
yeah, let's see quickly. So I did not get a chance to approve all of the questions, but we'll skim them and we'll send them to the answers to you in a follow-up wherever we can. So let's see. How do you consist your character appearance? I think we answered that. I think there's a couple of questions for eToro.
Maybe if Shai, you wouldn't mind sharing, if you can stay for a little bit longer, just like a last question. There is a question actually, it's quite interesting. Yeah. One of them is around if you wouldn't mind sharing maybe how many people worked on the commercials. And
okay, so it differs from each one. If you'll go to my LinkedIn page or in some places, you're going to see a very long credit list. It's not short because there are strategic people and media people and prompt. They wanted to create the prompts, and the editors and the writers, and there are art directors. There are a lot of people that working on each commercial. It's mainly because there are a lot of things that we want to create. Like, let's say, from the eToro is everywhere commercial, we had a guy that only set to create the prompts, to create the of the people that are talking at the beginning. He created like he was just dedicated for that. Another one was for rest of the shot. There was an art director that sat and overlooked everything. A director that sat with us to decide which angle, like how to tell that story, like in the best way. There's also sound editors that needed later to do that. We had an editor that worked on VFX to add the screens in some places because the screens weren't AI generated. It was really the screens from our platform. There are a lot of it's like a puzzle. You have a lot of elements that you want to combine. I know there are a lot of stories about, hey, this is one guy worked for in his laptop and create this. Usually you can see the difference from real production that works for TV, and ones that are really cool but are mainly for web and small private use.
Perfect. Thank you. I think this is really helpful.
Yeah. Thank you.
This is really helpful. I think we can do 2 more minutes, 3 more minutes. So maybe one more question, Shai, for you. Would you be willing to share maybe anything around the performance of the commercials, if you're happy with it, or if
No, at this point, the numbers are good, but it's information that our media buys on our side. It's kind of confidential for our use. It's not something that we share publicly.
Yes.
AI or not AI, just for.
But you were happy with the output, which I think is great.
Yeah. And also, by the way, I said it again, the downside is it's rather cheap. If you do something and it doesn't perform, it's not a big loss. You start small, and if it's good, it's amazing. If it's not a huge loss. Think of it, if I would have created a commercial that costs me about $100,000 to create, like very expensive one. It's very, very hard later on to take it off or to decide to do it. It's a big loss. It's also on morale and on your budget. And if it costs less, it's not that big of a deal. Let's change it. Let's tweak it. It's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you very much. Actually, there's one a very avoided question, which is around creating the long video. So I think people have to understand that this is about really useful for creating the shots that you still have to go and stitch together. So we are not at the point where you just, dump in an idea and it will result in 30 or 1 minute or 2 minute commercial. This will at some point will be potentially possible. At this moment, you have to generate, the different sequences, and then you have to stitch them together. And that's why, it's really important to work through the prompting and, the different angles that you want to be visible in the shot. The jump cut technique is very popular and used for, going from one scene to another while keeping the audience entertained.
Yeah.
I would just add on that there are very small, times when you see one shots, even in real life, that the director creating a video in one shot. So there's one series now that was the one, I forgot the name, but won award.
Yeah.
So I think it's very hard in real life. So think about doing it with AI. Like the number of elements that can change the hallucinations that happens during that process, it's almost impossible. And you don't really need it. Like you don't really need it. The storytelling is about telling a story. You can jump to a different angle, different scene, maybe roll to a different time zone and go back to your original story. You don't need to confine yourself into one shot and do it in one scene.
Mm-hmm. I 100% agree. Okay, I think we're 10 minutes past, so thanks all that actually were here with us till the very end. We will be sharing the content, and I took a screenshot of the questions, so we'll try to somehow address them. I think we covered most of them because they were quite similar. So with that, I think we're gonna call it a day. We're gonna wrap it up. So thank you all for sticking with us. Thank you, Shai, for being here with us, sharing your story. It's incredible to see what you're doing. I wish you a lot of, amazing and incredible successes in the future. And thank you, Flor and Rafael, for being here with me and doing this together. And thank you all who stick with here us till the end. I think it's been a great learning for all of us. So thank you, and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Great day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.